Amalia, Reina, Gabriella, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Tell me who you are.
We're Triple Charm. We're three sisters who write music, dance, and create content on social media.
And you're on a world tour.
That's right.
We're in London. You've never been here before, right?
No, we had actually never been out of the US, so we just got our passports last year. Yeah.
With a bang. So it's Paris, it's the whole Australia. You're doing the whole thing, right, over the next few months.
Yes.
How much prep's gone into that?
Whew, lots of prep. Yeah. So Molly is our choreographer, so she comes up with all the choreography for all the performances. So from that point to, our mom's our stylist, so she helps with
it's
all
a proper
the
family effort,
stage
right?
outfits. Yeah, so it's been a family effort, and it's been fun though.
But so I want to know how it all started, and just for context, world tour, the oldest 20, youngest 15, and you've been going since 2019. That's unbelievable. Do you feel that? Or do you kind of just live what you've been doing and, it's all sort of happening?
Yeah, it feels right, almost. Yeah. It feels like it's what we're meant to do. I think from the beginning, we always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. We started as competitive dancers. The first time I was on stage, I was 2. So the stage has been my home forever.
So you were the girls with the hairbrush singing in the mirror, right?
Oh,
Fighting
yeah, absolutely. We have plenty of home videos to show that, for sure.
But when did it become serious? And I think there's bring your dad in, who's in the room with us, right? There's a huge amount of family support there for you to be able to thrive what you're doing. But when did it become something where actually we could really go big with this?
I think I've always had my individual passion for performing. So I started pursuing professional theater when I was 6. So I kind of went on that solo journey for a little bit. And then in 2019, the girls wanted to start singing. And when it really became real was when we went to something called the World Championships of Performing Arts. It was in Long Beach, California, and we went to represent the US. So every country came to this competition for performing arts. And so I was going to go individually, but my mom was like, I can only go if the girls go.
Because at this point, we wanted to start singing.
That was almost the forming of the whole...
That's when we started.
Right?
We wanted to start singing because we were very inspired by Amalia. She was always in the car doing her warm-ups, and it was only so long that we could listen until we had to join in. So then once we all tried it together, I think it collected, and we were like, could we do this?
Cool. So if your mum hadn't suggested that, potentially you wouldn't have all joined up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. And there's a trust, right? Because if you were 3 individual girls as friends, there's potentially different directions you bring in, but you're bonded by that whole family thing with your mum and dad's support. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we just love each other so much, so everything comes from a place of love. Every single thing we do.
I can feel that. 100% can feel that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's
it's probably a key strength of yours, right? And then you're aligned. You're aligned, and you're looking out for each other. You're mission focused, and what a thing to be doing, right? Yeah. And how good's this weather? We don't get this weather. I think it pretty much arrived when you guys got here. Because you're not seeing England how most people do.
Yeah,
you mentioned you guys saw Big
Ben
Ben
and
and
stuff. The sun is shining and...
Yeah, London looks good in the
perfect.
sun, so I'm going to thank you guys for bringing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're performing at the O2 tonight. It's massive. I think it's sold out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's huge. So I want to know, that the journey that's sort of gone into planning this. Who decided where you go? Why London first?
Yeah. So London actually has been a really cool spot for us because a lot of our audience is based in the UK. So our song was trending on YouTube in the UK before it was ever trending in the US. So we knew this was definitely a place we had to hit, and we did a poll on our YouTube asking everybody. We said, we're going on tour. What cities do you want us to come to? I think we had over 200,000 comments and replies. And so a lot of people said the UK. So here we are.
But it's smart marketing. It actually sums you guys up. So from performing at such an age to then putting yourselves out there on social media, and social media is zeitgeist timing for you guys, right? You actually want to perform and you embrace that, because so many people don't. So many people, they might want to. They look at you perhaps with envy, but they won't put themselves out there. But you exude that. And then you bring that fan base in. You actually look at, well, where should we go and what should we do? So is that how you determine the tour? Paris, Australia, and so on? Is it where the majority of your fans are outside of the US?
Yeah, that's been such an important factor for us to really get to know our audience and to pull them and to include them in everything, because they're the reason we're here. And so I think also including them in everything makes them feel like a bigger part of this journey, which they're a huge part of.
Yeah, you bring them in, right? And you have that huge engagement. But that's seriously smart. 15, 19, 20 years old, right? And you effectively you wouldn't have done this 15, 20 years ago. You'd have a manager giving you advice. And they would tell you how it's all done. Whereas it feels like you're in control of your own destiny. You're making decisions. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
How cool is that?
It was definitely a learning process. So we released our first song, Move On, in 2019, and we published it, and we were like, okay, now how are we going to get views for this music video? And so that's kind of what started this whole thing. It's definitely been a learning process, and we've just kind of developed as we've gone along.
But by doing that, you put yourself right in the firing line of kind of criticism or getting it wrong. So you guys don't seem to be afraid to fail in broad daylight.
Yeah, you kind of have to have tough skin, thick skin. And we always say, like, we try not to let the good get to us as much as the bad, because if you let one get to you, as soon as it flip-flops, it'll bring you down. So we kind of just stay on course and just, I think we have a strong sense of mission. So that's what helps us.
Yeah, so even if something doesn't go how you want it to, I'm just going to pick a bad example, say it was a video you do that just doesn't go viral, like so many of yours have, you move on, then you kind of look at why it didn't and so on. Exactly. How much of being the three of you kind of picking each other up? So if one of you is sort of, upset about something, do you find that you just naturally all kind of support each other?
Definitely.
We each have roles and strengths when it comes to the business side of Triple Charm. Amalia is the choreographer and the dance teacher. Raina's the editor. And then I respond to comments. So we each have our strengths that we bring to the table. And so we try and utilize each one of our skills. And
brilliant.
Yeah, just it's like a puzzle piece.
I love that. And did you organically work that out? Did you sort of almost kind of like, Gabrielle, you're really good at that. Can you do this? Or did you kind of put your hand up and go, I actually have a natural talent for this. I'm going to do it. How did you coordinate it?
It's a trial and error for sure. I'd say the first year was definitely, it was bumpy. We were all trying to fit into the same roles. And so then that gets a little tricky. But then once we just stuck to what we're really good at, that's when it really started to sail.
And that's definitely a strength of like knowing each other really well. I mean, since they were born, so we already know each other's skills like outside of this group. So to be able to bring those into the group was really cool.
It's awesome. I've got to bring your dad into this conversation and your mum, but your dad's in the room.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't have done this without family support. I'm a dad of 2 teenage daughters, so my weekends are dad taxi and so on, right? So there's safeguarding that you guys are put out there in the public, so you've almost got that sort of advice, that maturity from, but also support. We were talking before camera, one of you said you were interested in tennis, and suddenly you were supported with that.
Yes.
How important has that kind of family support been?
That's been instrumental. Yeah, that's, I think, one of the most important key factors for us. We're so lucky to have such supportive parents.
I love the fact you feel that. You know that. You don't take it for granted at all. You know that I guess you couldn't be sitting here ultimately, especially at the ages that you're at, without that support.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been incredible. And I think one thing that was really important is our dad had a background in marketing, and so he taught me from a young age. I wasn't allowed to have social media until like the proper age, and even then I had to wait.
What is the proper age?
It's 13.
Okay.
So I had to wait. All my friends had gotten social media, and I was like, please, Dad. But he had really taught me the value of it, and that you really do leave a footprint. And so now going into Triple Charm, we knew the impact that social media does have, and so that was really important to know right off the bat.
I bet you were like a cork in a bottle that you're saying you couldn't wait to go. It's actually probably part of your drive.
Yeah,
right? Everyone
exactly.
else, you were waiting and you were learning.
Yeah.
Fair play. From an empathetic point of view, as a father, my daughters are afraid to put themselves out there. What would you say to someone that's looking at you guys living your best life, right, on a world tour because you put yourselves out there, followed your passion?
Yeah.
But along the way, you must have taken criticism, negative comments, What advice would you give to someone that's locking themselves up a bit and not doing what they'd actually love to do?
Yeah, you know what? I would say that you're actually not alone. I struggle with that still. And I think I'm very lucky to have my sisters there to fall back on, and they're always there to pick me up. But even myself, putting myself out there alone without them is new, and it can be uncomfortable. So I totally understand, that fear, and just being vulnerable on social media feels so scary. But I think to me, that's when I feel most connected, is when I see artists and creators being real and being themselves.
Authentic.
So, authentic, yes.
And that you guys exude that, right? All three, there's no show here. You're exactly the same out there before we came in. You're just yourselves, right?
Yeah.
That's super important, isn't it?
Yes. And I think whatever you like to watch, I think you'll always find people online that are similar and that appreciate you. So just don't be afraid to put the real you out there, because you'll find your people, I think.
I love that. I mentioned negative comments. It sounds like you're the one that deals with. So you must get them. I mean, a lot of it may well come out of jealousy, right? And of course, I know you've got such a loyal following, and a really engaged community. But there's going to be comments coming in, just trying to bring you down and so on. How do you deal with them?
Yeah, we've built such a positive fan base. We only give attention to the positive comments. So I kind of try and, when people come to our page, they see mainly positive comments because I reply to them and I try and give them as much love as possible because they're giving love back to us. And so I think it's really just, picking your crowd, and because a lot of creators respond to the negativity. And so then it grabs more negativity and they hold on to it. But we just kind of let it go. We just say, okay, that person, maybe they're having a bad day. You never know what's going on in their life.
That's such a mature, you're 15, right? Yeah. That's such a mature mindset. You've all got that because there's an expression, water the flowers, not the weeds. I'm 47. I have a mindset sometimes I'll focus on the negative, something that's bothering me. Yeah. Where's that come from? Has that come from family upbringing? Has that come from maybe role models you've aspired to be? Or you naturally like, because you're super positive, all three of you. Is that something that's just been bred into you almost?
Exactly. I think the girls have inspired me so much. I mean, I've always looked up to them. They're my older sisters. And I think I've matured naturally. And just because I think they're older than me, I just have always wanted to be more mature and be like them. So they've just really taught me, and same with my parents, they've all taught me really good foundation and building blocks.
So important. Mindset. It's amazing. Yeah. I mentioned role models. So the three of you are kind of pioneering. You've got the world tour on the back of actually being able to put yourselves out there and build this following on social media, to build the community that want to come and watch you in concerts and stuff. Who's been your role models? Maybe a question to each three of you, and how's that combined for Triple Charm?
Yeah, we're definitely very inspired by, I would say, like Destiny's Child, the Jonas Brothers, other sibling groups. And then also, what we want to do, it is kind of unique in the sense that we want to be the top creator online, like social media creator, and musicians. And so bridging those worlds together, it's been, we see why that's not the most common thing, because it's like 2 full-time jobs, but that's our real goal.
There's going to be a team growing around you guys pretty soon, right? Surely.
There's got to be soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say for me, this is a little bit outside of our industry, but watching my mom work really hard. She's been a professional, and so I've watched her work since I was born. That's been incredible to see. I've just been surrounded by hardworking women my whole life, and so that has just been
the work
super,
ethic and everything.
Yeah, super impactful.
You do what people do, not what they say, right? Fair play.
Yep.
And then I would say, in terms of Triple Charm, we are really inspired by K-pop. And so we like to bring the dancing and the music and singing all together and combine it. So not only social media, but singing and dancing at the same time.
Yeah, and we're talking about the fact that you're on stage tonight, and it's without in any way being arrogant at all. You're not nervous about it at all. You're prepped, you're ready, and you can't wait. That's when you guys are at your happiest, right? You can't wait. So in a few hours' time, you're on a stage with however many tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
I bet you can't wait.
Yes.
That's why you do
excited.
it, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
we're excited.
That's been our favorite thing, because since we grew up on the stage as dancers, we've always looked forward to having music that we could perform live. And so we've done, I think, 3 shows before this world tour, and just getting on stage and hearing the crowd sing back your own songs and then watching them do the dance trends that you've done online, it's incredible, honestly.
Yeah, it's super impactful.
Those 3 shows were all sold out, and it's just a great feeling to know that people are coming to, support you and your passion. And see you in person.
Yeah.
So it's like you want to give as much energy and your best effort
Almost
when you step
you
on
it.
stage.
I mean, they're making an effort to come along, so they can't wait to see you, right? But I love that, the humility there, where you know that you've got a duty almost to entertain them, which is what you guys live to do.
Yeah.
Amazing. Has there been a kind of big break moment? So from wanting to be performers to now being ultimately doing a world tour, was there a moment where you all kind of looked at you and went, oh, we're getting some traction here?
I think it's definitely our first viral video that we had.
Yeah.
We danced in the rain, and so that video.
I watched that video.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was our first video to, I think, break 1 million views, and so now that seems like to us crazy, because we've gotten hundreds of millions of views, which sounds crazy, but for us that was just insane moment that we were like, wow, this can really become something.
Exciting.
It was so exciting.
And we had been posting for a while before that had happened, so then to see that big break was really special.
That's key, right? That's the bit I wanted to get to, right?
Yeah.
So prepped and ready for the start of the world tour tonight. doing this as part of the promotion, if you like. There's so much effort and graft and work that's going into this. So I want to almost capture that from aspirational people looking at you going, I want to do this.
Yeah.
It's hard work, right?
Yes.
And there's hours and hours that go in before you even get, months, years, whatever, before you go to a viral video.
That's right.
Talk me through that and that sort of resilience you've got to just keep going.
Yeah, so when we first started, actually, there's a few steps that we went through. We did this thing called Operation Rally Up, and this was before short form had come to Instagram and YouTube.
And it was named after our second single. It was called Rally Up.
So what we did is we went to accounts and like influencers, celebrities that had a similar audience to what we thought would be our audience, and we went through their followers, and we clicked on all of their followers and liked their videos and commented on their posts and said,
hoping they would come back.
Yes,
and just
hoping they would come back to our page. So we each did that for an hour a day, and we did that for 3 to 5 months, and then we built up to 7,000 followers. We were like, oh, this is awesome. And then we started posting on social media once short form came out, and when we started, we did 3 videos a day for I don't know how long that was, probably a few months.
I think you start to realize that there's no destination, like each milestone, like when you hit 1 million views, you're like, oh, we made it. But then you're like, wait, no, we didn't. And I mean, even now, we still have goals in the future. So I think it's just about really trying to enjoy the journey. And it can be hard sometimes. You're just so focused on the future, but just trying to be present in the moment, I guess.
Exactly.
Brilliant. That was the next thing I wanted to bring up. You are on an amazing journey. And still, again, so I know I keep repeating that, but it's amazing. But the world tour is clearly up on you. It's massive. But what would be a milestone that if you were sat here now, because I know what you girls are like, you'll reach it and you'll be on to the next thing. But is there something that you just love to achieve? And that could be performing somewhere. It could be a sort of number of viral views on something. What would be the sort of milestones?
For me, I think at the moment, it would be to perform at a big like music festival, like Lollapalooza, or a headline at one of the like Coachella or something. I think that would be a huge milestone, and that would be just so fun to know that, to look at the crowd and be like, oh my gosh, all these people know who I am. And just to have them in like a visible place.
You guys have manifested so much already.
That's right.
So Coachella.
I would say we really view our channel as a variety show. So we do dancing, comedy, singing, acting challenges. So for me, I'd love to explore different avenues of entertainment, like TV shows, movies.
Goes back to naturally performing, right? I think it was only like a month ago you did a siblings one where you kind of came up, so I'm the oldest, and then you were there going, I'm the youngest. And it's just like, it's creative. You're obviously having these chats and bringing it out. But what would be the North Star of that variety? Would it be performing somewhere like in the UK? We've got the Royal Variety Performance where you have a comedian followed by a singer followed by someone juggling or whatever. Is there a platform, because you've got the social media side of things as your world now, so is it just killing that and owning that space?
I think something that would be really cool too is to host SNL and also be the performer. I've seen some artists do that,
cool.
and so I think that'd be insane.
You guys would be great at that.
Thank you. That would be super cool.
I definitely agree with like I think on our YouTube channel we want to keep building that world and make it fully immersive, with really thought out and like high produced videos, because I do think like YouTube is our own streaming network now. So I think just really creating, because we like acting and we're really into TV and film, so maybe creating our own series on there would be really fun.
There's so much that you're joined up and clearly can probably just only focus on what's in front of you and what you're doing. But do you ever have the chats about further down the line where one of you might have aspirations to do solo stuff and so on? Because at the moment you're very much interlinked and combined. One of the biggest threats of a non-sibling kind of group, if you like, would be that you haven't got that trust, and you kind of wonder whether that person's ego or mindset is going to take them off. I didn't see you guys having that, but are those conversations where it's like, this is something I want to do? Are you sort of having that now so that you're prepared, or is it just too much going on and you're just too aligned?
I think we all know that we individually have passions outside of just Triple Charm. So for me, it's Broadway. Broadway's been my dream since I was 6. So I would love to do that one day. And I think the girls know that.
But that's cool, because you put it out and they support it, and that doesn't stop you still doing what you're doing. If anything, it's probably elevating the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think everything we're doing as a group will definitely elevate us individually when we decide we want to do something. Like if Gabby wants to have her own clothing line, or if Raina wants to create her own active wear, things like that. If what we're doing right now is just going to elevate us in the future. So it's just exciting to think about the future for all of us.
It's a key message here as well, right? Is you guys are super smiley, positive, and following your passion. there's an argument that you could be sacrificing teenage years of having fun, and I'm talking drinking and experimenting with stuff that kids do, right? But I don't feel like you, for 1 second, feel like you're missing out on childhood.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the guidance you've had with the family. The fact that you're on a world tour and your dad's with you, right? How cool is that? I mean, you know, if I said to my daughters, let's go around America, it'd be amazing. That would just be a trip, let alone it's work. Do you? Am I right in saying that there's not one bit of you that misses what other kids could see as a sort of a normal childhood, if you like?
Yeah, I would say it depends on, like, there's definitely things that I don't think would be fun, like definitely not into like the drinking or any of that. But there are sacrifices, like maybe sometimes you will have to come back and practice instead of staying out and, I don't know, going to the mall. But then you kind of weigh the the benefits, and we do find what we do fun. So I think,
that
you
makes
kind of
it easy.
also think like big picture and think into the future a little bit.
It definitely helps that our friends, we grew up doing competitive dance, so all of our friends have had like big aspirations too, and so they are very understanding of what we're doing, and so
That's cool. So the friendship group you've got around you is actually supportive.
Of course, yes.
I like that.
So that's been huge for us too.
Yeah, I get that because you know, the sort of the mall side of things. I mean, you've got a world tour, right? So I'm interested to know. It's a fair few months. It's 3 months worth of traveling.
Yeah.
Of course, you've got to space it out because it's high energy and
Yes.
choreographing different things. So how much of the next few days, weeks is work, and how much do you go and see Big Ben and go and do the Eiffel Tower and so on? How do you break that up?
Yeah. When constructing this tour, we made sure to add time for travel because when you're with a label, it's easy to like have shows back to back to back. So since we're independent artists, we have a lot of creative control and control with our schedule, and I think that's a huge benefit for this first world tour. I think it's super cool.
First of many.
Yeah. Hopefully.
That's so cool. So that's a really key point. There's no artist, there's no one saying, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. Which I value from like this program. No one's saying, I need you to do it. So you have that whole creative control. So you can plan how you want to. So you're living your best life ultimately. You're performing, but you're traveling the world. So where is not on this world tour that you'd like? I've heard in a separate interview, India. You've got a lot of fans in India. So I guess there's other. You're probably already thinking about the next one, right?
Yeah.
Where could that be?
I think definitely Brazil we would love to go to. We'd love to do a show in Puerto Rico. That's a special place to us because we're Puerto Rican and we filmed some music videos there.
Yeah, we're 50% Puerto Rican and 50% Polish. So we're
Poland
right by
would be cool.
Poland.
Poland
So that would be
be
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
I have to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I love this sort of thread with being independent. So I guess you guys are probably aware. We talked about role models earlier and named some people, but you are now role models. So the way you're living, the way you're putting that discipline into what you're doing and achieving what you're doing is massive. I hope you guys can feel that from me and you feel that and you get that feedback. But if someone was wanting to be, and it's probably a young girl that would love to have this, like, what advice would you give them? You know, and I'm talking about where to start and the sort of the things they could try and start to do to in any way get close to what you guys are doing.
I would say the first thing is to plan out exactly how you envision your future and just visualize every night before you go to bed. Picture 5 years down the road what you see for your life, because when you start to visualize, anything that sort of comes your way that would lead you towards that goal, you start to kind of put that plan into motion. So visualizing is huge, and I would say a lot of people are nervous to take that very first step. So just take it day by day and just little steps at a time, and before you know it, you'll be somewhere that you were dreaming about 5 years ago.
That's amazing. I love that. That's so mature, by the way. You know, that visualization and then working out the goals. If you're pointing at it, you'll make it happen. You know?
Exactly.
And it's frightening how many people have negative visualization. I can't do this. I won't do that. Well, you're not going to.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And that sounds like it's come through again, family, and then you've all embraced that, and then of course you're all aligned.
Yeah.
Another key thing, that's a key mental thing. To do what you guys do, you have to keep physically fit.
Yes.
what do you do? Do you guys have a morning routine? Do you do it together? Do you do it separately?
We do it together, which definitely helps. And then, I mean, I love to go on walks, so I'll just walk a lot. And we each have our own thing. Like Molly loves yoga. Gabby also loves yoga. Lots of singing and running at the same time, like on the treadmill. That one's not as fun, but it definitely pays off when you're dancing and singing.
For sure.
You won't be out of breath.
It's definitely like a physical routine as much as a mental routine. So I love to journal. I like to read. So we each have time at the end of the day to kind of decompress on our own. But in the mornings, we like to spend time together, and we have a trainer that comes and works out with us 3 times a week. So we do that. So we have different things, both like physical and mental.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And it's also a balance between being sisters, not just like coworkers or teammates, and finding the time to just watch a TV show or a movie together and hang out. So
and that element of physical training is to make you fit and sharp for your dancing routines and looking good on stage and all that sort of stuff. But it's also stimulating creativity.
Yes.
So you both understand the power of mental and physical fitness, to call it that. So how do you harness the creativity? It sounds like when you're out on a walk, you might get your ideas and so on. And you sort of put these things into your phone and then come back and share them. And I want to know where, like, the sort of videos you put together, if you like, how do you combine on them? So you come back from a workout and you're like, I've got a great idea. And you're thinking about some comments you've had that stimulated an idea. How do you pull that?
Yeah, I don't know. Creativity is a very interesting topic because it's all like in your head. It's all starts with an idea. It all starts with something that you saw or an inspirational quote or something that stimulates that part of your brain. And I think it's such a huge asset and to our business because it is creative outlet. Our YouTube channel is our way of talking to the world and just putting messages out there. I think it's really, sometimes it's hard. You can get lost within your creativity and you can also have like stuck almost in a thought. But I think, at least for me, I just kind of like to just sit down or journal and just, I kind of harness it by just being still and like thinking and
Fully present.
Fully present, yeah.
I think of creativity as like, this might be a weird analogy, as like a faucet, and you're just the bowl that has to be ready to catch the water. You're not the water though. And you don't know when it's going to flow out. Like the creativity, you don't know when it's going to come, but you got to be ready to catch it.
I love that. And also keep the tap going.
Yes,
so that there's always a flow, because if you shut it off. And I've mentioned it already, but at such a young age, right? Have you got a kind of barometer or a kind of another pool of people you can go to bounce those ideas off? Because you clearly work really hard to get those first viral videos, and then you've just flown in, and you almost don't need anyone else. But when you seek that, have you got other people you seek kind of advice from and bounce, or do you find that just the 3 of you together, it's enough?
It's usually the 3 of us and our dad. So our dad is extremely creative. And so normally it'll be like our dad he's the one that usually has the crazy ideas. And we're like, okay, let's rein it in a little bit. So we definitely bounce ideas off of each other. I think the best ideas I've had are from other people's like initial concepts, and then I kind of refine it in a way that I think would work best.
Sparks inspiration.
So, yeah, it's definitely just the 4 of us kind of collaborating all the time.
And our vocal coach too. She's been Molly's vocal coach for a long time. She's definitely a good person to bounce ideas off of.
So the bigger team, you can just sort of bounce, and they'll because sometimes you need that validation or whatever. But I mean, there's been a video that's gone viral that you've almost been surprised, because you're putting 3 out a day for a while, and then suddenly, and then there's others that have spiked. Have you had that experience as creators where you're like, why did that do so well? And also one you've been really proud of and thought this is going to go brilliant, and it's just not gone well.
Exactly.
Is that quite normal?
That is quite normal.
Yeah, that definitely happens. And you'll notice that sometimes the things that you wouldn't expect or necessarily want to go viral as much as the others will. And so, it's kind of a balance for us of putting out content that we think can reach like the most mass amount of people, and then also content that we really like stand behind and really like. So it's like a mix between the two.
I love that. So actually the heart of it, you wouldn't put anything out that you're not proud of, super excited about, and authentic.
Exactly.
And then back to that earlier part of the conversation, if it does well, then great. If not, we're doing what we love anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm conscious of time. There's so much you've already achieved in such a short space of time that would be deemed successful. What would be your definition of success? That's a tricky, so I could say that's probably, let's make that a triple charm kind of answer. What would, and I guess there's probably a legacy question there, right? So you can sell out stadiums and concerts and so on. You can be on stage, but sort of where does that land where it's like, then I'll feel I've achieved or I've been successful.
Yeah. From the beginning, we always had a goal of just spreading positivity and love into the world. So seeing that reflect through our audience and through our social media has been a way of success for us. I think also success isn't just numbers. I think it's also
impact.
Yeah, like pop cultural impact you have, or reach in terms of a global scale. I think social media has been our way of reaching that success to all different types of audiences and crowds in parts of the world. Because without social media, we wouldn't be able to have fans in India or people watching us from Brazil or the UK. We probably wouldn't even be having this conversation.
I love that. That is such a cool legacy, and no destination. And actually, I love the fact that you bring up social media, because it gets, and rightly so, for lots of the sort of doom scrolling negative algorithm, you use social media as a force for good. Everything you put out, in the same way that, like you said, the authenticity of you guys is positive and inspirational, aspirational. And that's massive credit to you guys. I'm so impressed with you.
Thank you.
I'm so pleased that you made time. I mean, on the cusp of your first performance on the world tour, I feel super privileged to have met you, and best of luck with it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.